So my name is Brittany Hayes. I am a triple diamond with the business. My husband Zach is a double diamond. We've been in the business for 14 months as of a couple days ago. When we joined, we had watched my really good friend Claire Flores. She's a presidential diamond. I'm sure a lot of you have watched some of her stuff. But I had watched her from like start to her 11-month mark, which is when I joined. I was one of her very first customers for hair, skin, and nails. And so I knew the products worked and I loved them. My hair grew 4 inches the first 2 months I used hair, skin, and nails. And so I was totally sold on the products. But I guess you could say like throughout watching her, I was always so interested. I was always so happy for her. She has 4 kids just like I do. And it was always in the back of my mind that I never thought I could do it too. I just always was like, I wouldn't be as good as her. People don't like me as much as her, or whatever. I'm sure you all can relate to those thoughts. And it wasn't until we were at just a really pivotal point in our life, whenever it was that 11-month mark for her, she was coming up on her 1 year, that times were just so tight for us. We had just had our fourth baby and, we had all the medical bills piling up and we're just buried in debt. And I was like crying out to God for a solution. And I just felt like he was saying, the answer's right in front of you. And so she and I had never even talked about the business. She had no clue had even been contemplating it. I just texted her out of the blue and was like, hey, I want to join your team. And I signed up right there on the spot, completely buffet. I felt very under-equipped. I honestly had no idea how I would do. I had no war market. Zach and I both have not supportive families, like at all. And so I knew like I wasn't going to, I knew I didn't have like that support that some people have, but I was like, you know what, like I'm going to work. I'm a hard worker and I'm teachable. So I know God will equip me where I'm short. And that's kind of, how I got started. And so I jumped in, just put my all into it. I tried to be a sponge and just learn everything that I was taught. I went diamond in 7 months. And shortly after I went diamond, Zach, we like made a completely leap of faith for him to go and come home so we could put our heads together and get double even faster. So we went double 2 months later. Zach went double the next month. And at that point, we were like, okay, like we can do whatever we want with this business. Like this business is opening up door after door for us. Like it's completely turning our life around. Like, what do we really want? And that's when we really just looked at each other and we're like, okay, let's do something crazy. Let's move where we've always wanted to move. So we're from Dallas, Texas. We moved to the beach at our 11-month mark in the business. That's where we're at now, Gulf Shores, Alabama. And then by my 1 year anniversary, I promoted to triple. And so we're here at the beach, working hard for Prez. And yeah, this business has literally, it's turned everything around for us. We are a full-time family, and I can't even imagine like what my life would be like had I not texted Claire that day.
That is so crazy. Like I've heard your story, but like I've never really heard it like full on. Like I've read it, but it's different when you hear somebody talk about it. One of the things that I love that you said was that you guys didn't really have supportive families. So was that kind of like a hesitation before you got started? Like one thing that you kind of like thought through and knew how you were going to handle it when you signed up? Or how did you know that they weren't going to be supportive, I guess? They just make some like snide comments. What was it that you were like, okay, like, I don't really care what they think, but I'm just going to do this anyways?
Yeah. Okay. So we knew our family wasn't going to be supportive because we kind of have just like a general like negative family. They're just not really the kind of people that support you and stuff like that. They actually talk bad about network marketing. So I'll just be real. And I guess like, as far as that was definitely hesitation. And I mentioned when I was, telling my story just a second ago, how I always I felt like everybody loved Claire. And I'm like, what if people don't like me like they like her? That was definitely a thought. But when it came time to do it, I just was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to be me, and I'm going to like take as many people with me for the ride as I can, because I know that I know why I'm in this, and like I know it works because it worked for her, and like I'm going to give it my all, and I'm going to take everyone with me that wants to go, and anybody that doesn't want to go, they don't have to go. And so that's kind of how was my mindset about my family. I was like, you know what, like I love them, but I've got to do this for me. And like basically I didn't care what they thought or what they would say. I prepared myself for it, and there was some snide comments that came after joining from both sides of our family. But we didn't care. I mean, I had a cousin that blocked me on Facebook and just unblocked me a week ago. She blocked me like when I was a Ruby, and she just unblocked me a week ago. And she actually called me and apologized. And she said, I'm so sorry for everything I said. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy that you guys are able to like send the kids to private school and do all these great things. And I feel terrible with what I said. So like, that's one thing that I had to come to terms with from the beginning, was like, you can't control who people are and like what they're going to say and how they're going to act. You can only control how you're going to act. And so I'm going to be the very best person that I can be, and I'm just not going to worry about it. And, you know, obviously it's easier said than done. Obviously those kind of comments still hurt, but truly I can say, like, with complete transparency, like Zach and I have really tried hard to completely block out any negativity. And, I would say that's like one of my strengths in the business is I don't entertain negativity. And so if it comes from family, I'm like, I'm sorry, but I have like my family, my husband and my kids. That's what I'm worried about. So I love you, but like, I'm not going to listen to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I think too, like a lot of times, like I talk about a lot of times like toxic relationships and how we sometimes don't even realize how toxic the relationships that we are in until like we get around people who are positive or who make us better, because we're like, wow, we're kind of downplaying our standards to what we think we inherited, right? Like if your parents are poor, you think you're going to be poor. If your parents are rich, you think you're just going to be rich because those are the standards they set. But you know, you guys can break the chains, and that's something that I encourage like you guys to kind of mentally get out of. Is that what Brittani did? And I have no idea what your family background is, but like just from hearing that, it often appears that when, our family, they know what's best for us. And sometimes they only know what's best for them, and they all are trying to protect you. So when they hear it's just something new and that they've never heard really great things about from their end, you have to remember that's their experience. That doesn't mean that they're wrong, but that's just their experience. Okay. And you have to have your own experience. That has to be yours and only yours, but you can't base it off of somebody else's experience. So I encourage you guys that if you are talking to somebody with an unsupportive family, or if you're talking to yourself who has an unsupportive family, you know, encourage yourself, like, let me build my own experience. Let me don't just piggyback off of somebody else's experience. So that's huge. And I love that point. So for you guys who's on here and doesn't know me, I'm Kelsey. I'm a triple diamond. I started the business about 2.5 years ago almost, because I just had one of those, what the hell am I doing moments with my life. And I just really felt like this can't be it. I don't know if you guys ever heard that country song, like There's Gotta Be Something More. That was literally like my theme song for like a hot second, because I was like, I don't understand, like I'm supposed to be 9 to 5 till I'm 65. Like that reality, like once I got done with college, I was so excited to start working and make money. And then I realized like I was just working to live, not living to work. You know, I was just like working just to survive. And so, you know, I think that I got caught up in that survival mode and just like, I'm doing what we need to do. And it wasn't like we were struggling like super bad, but it was just not super comfortable either. And I have always like my upbringing was just, my parents weren't rich by any means, but we were super comfortable, and I never really had to like want for anything. I wasn't going out and buying Louis Vuitton purses, mind you, but I was just, like my parents would supply my gas money and all that stuff. And so I always just felt like, that money it wasn't an issue because it didn't have to be. And I never had to deal with it. So I was super awkward when I would talk about money with my been like, you know, we were been married 4 years. So when I joined, we were semi newlyweds, and it was kind of like, every time he'd be like talking about joining bank accounts, I'd be like, this is awkward. Like, I don't know how to talk about money because it just made me uncomfortable, because I just didn't want it to be an issue. And so I think I just had that moment like, oh gosh, it's going to be an issue. Like I need to do something. Like, how do these people live in $500,000 houses? What jobs are they doing? Like, I need to figure it out so I can eventually do that. And so, I was just like you guys. I didn't know if I was going to be successful. I didn't know, you know, what it was going to look like, but my life motto has become, and has always been, A, go hard and go home, or B, you know, I'd rather have an oops than a what if. And so I think that I just kind of jumped in. I'm one of those people that doesn't really have to do anything. So I just jumped in, and I just flew by the seat of my pants. I didn't really know anything. And if people asked me a question I didn't know, I was like, I don't know. That's a really good question. Let me get back to you. And then, or I would just like tell them what I thought the answer was, and then double check with Aaron and be like, oh crap, is that the right answer? So that's kind of what I did. And so we are just here to kind of tell you what we've learned along the way. By no means do we have any of this stuff figured out, you guys. And that's what I want. This is just so you guys don't have to make the same mistakes we did, right? We want you guys to figure it out faster than we have. And so that's why we're doing this Zoom. And I just wanted to pick Brittany's brain because I was like, how have you only been in the business a year? Like, you have your whole life together. I'm really trying to figure out mine still. So I needed to interview you. And so Brittany, if you'll kind of tell us like how you've learned time management. I mean, obviously your life has forever changed since you even started a year ago. I mean, just to think about all the changes that have happened, you know, with a newborn, and then you move, and then you guys both, you know, are at home full time. And so circumstances are always changing, but what have you guys done that's really worked for you? And what have you done that's not worked for you? I think it's important to share that so people don't try those same things and maybe it might not work for them too.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so when we got started, I was blessed that Zach saw the vision with me. Like he knew that from watching Claire. So Claire's brother-in-law is actually Zach's cousin. So we're like kind of family in a weird way. Anyway, so he knew, like, after watching their journey, he was like this can totally work for us. I remember him saying to me, he was like, Britt, like I'd been in the business like a month or two, and he was like, if you keep at this, like you're gonna be able to retire me like Claire retired Brian. And so he like completely 100% had that vision. So that was awesome. So we kind of just like got our heads together in the beginning. Like Zach from like early on in business was like, hey, I want to help you with the cooking. He was like, you're going to be at home all day with the kids. I know you're stressed and you're going to be trying to juggle this in the business. Like, let me do the cooking. And I'm like, done. Go ahead. Like, I like cooking, but not that much. You can have it. So that was kind of like our thing, was like, I was kids all day and cleaning and like balancing the business. And then he would come home and do the cooking and take the kids. And then I would like recluse in my office and like get anything done that I felt like I couldn't get done whenever, you know, he was gone during the day. I, heard all the stuff at the beginning when I started, try to post like 3 to 6 times a day. So I took that to heart religiously. So one thing that I've kind of figured out, I didn't get this figured out right away, but I figured this out a few months in and it's worked well for me. And I've done this ever since, is I try to do on a really good day, if everything's going well, I get 6 posts up. I never let myself get below 3 ever. So I don't care if I have the most worst day on the planet, like I'm not going to not have at least 3 posts. That's like my standard for myself. Now yours doesn't have to look like that. I'm just saying, like, I think it's so important to set a standard because you have to hold yourself accountable. Like, this is my best case scenario and I will never let it go worse than this. That's been really good for me, on those hectic days. So what I like to do is like an inspirational post, a personal post, product, personal product, and then I do like a business opportunity type post.
Okay, you're talking really fast for people trying to take notes, so repeat it again. Like the types of posts that you do.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, so it's inspirational, product, personal, product, personal, and then like a business opportunity in the evening. So 2 products, 2 personal, and then inspirational to business. And what I mean by personal, for those of you who maybe are new, is just like any kind of lifestyle posts. I mean, your kids, like anything that necessarily isn't It Works related.
Yeah, and I think it's important that you do really emphasize not It Works post, okay, you guys, because people don't want to just look at your profile and be like, wow, she doesn't even post anything besides It Works, then I'm not going to follow her if you're not bringing any content. And this is what I had talked to a couple of my girls about this, and I just kind of had an aha moment, in saying like, what content, really ask yourself this question and be honest, what content are you bringing to somebody who's not interested in the business right now? Because not everybody's interested in the business right now. Okay, if they would be, we already would be chartered for diamond or double diamond or triple diamond. Okay, that's just not the case. But they're going to be. But in the meantime, you have to figure out if you're providing the content that's going to keep them following you for that meantime, if that makes sense. So the no's aren't no's right now, or they're not no's forever, there's no's right now. But until they get to the point where they're going to want the business, are you providing meaningful content to them, something that they want to? And the other day, after all the Charlottesville stuff came out, I mean, obviously my husband's Black, so I felt like I was nervous because I always try to keep my page super, just non-confrontational when it comes to stuff. Like I don't ever put my political views. I don't ever try to do that stuff because I don't want to minimize who I'm targeting and then be turned off by something. But I just felt compelled to write something. And I talked to Alyssa, I bill you, and I was like, hey, is this too much? Like, I don't want to like be controversial. I just want to put my opinion. She's like, no, you have to have a voice. There's a difference between being controversial and having a voice, right? And even on my post, I just said, this isn't about politics. This is just about love. And I think that's something that you guys need to, we can be so cautious about it, but at the end of the day, are you providing content that other people want to read? That if they aren't even interested in the business, that they would still want to read your stuff? Like, are you sharing your adventure? That's one big thing that Erin told me from the very beginning. She said, I said, what do you think makes you successful more than other people who join this business? And she said, because I just share the shit out of my adventure. And that really stuck with me. Sorry for my language, but sometimes I think it just proves the point, is that everything you're doing in your life, you need to talk about it as an adventure. So like, even if you don't think it's a big deal that you guys went out to eat and whatever happened when you guys went out to eat, take a picture of it and share that adventure. Because you know what? Your kids might have had a meltdown, but how many other moms can relate to their kids having a meltdown at a restaurant? Like, seriously. So be somebody that they can feel like they love what you're posting about, and you happen to be an It Works distributor. So I always tell people, I'm Kelsey first. I'm a Christian, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, and I happen to be an It Works distributor. It's part of my everyday life and who I am, but that is not the only thing that I'm posting about, because that's not the only thing about me. So think of your page like that. And I think will really help you guys, because sometimes I think we're posting to go through the motions because that's what we're told to do. And we don't post for the content. And so really remember, when somebody comes to your page, is the content that you're providing something that they want to read, whether they're interested in the business right now or not? Okay, sorry I interrupted you, but that was just a thought. Go ahead.
Oh, you're fine. I love it. Okay, so just kind of along the lines of like what Kelsey was saying. So we decided early on, like no matter like what she was saying about being political and stuff, we've always been very vocal about our views on stuff on Facebook, but we decided from that moment forward, like we were keeping that stuff for ourselves, because exactly what she just said, like we did not want to alienate any, we didn't want to alienate any of our market. So that's not to say we're not still genuine, we don't still have a voice like she said, but anything controversial or that could be construed that way, we steer away from. And then, no negativity, like no complaining. We make sure we're like a light in people's life. Like I want people to be scrolling through and see my posts, and I want them to smile. And like she said, even if they're not interested in the business, like I want them to still want to watch me, because I'm positive and because I'm uplifting and stuff. And because I'm real. Like I have found that like the more vulnerable posts I do, like they get the most attention. So I can like I did a video on anxiety just a week ago or 2 weeks ago, guys. And it was like got over 1,000 views the first day. And not necessarily on my live videos too, but that one did, because obviously a lot of people on my feed were like, what does she have to say about anxiety? I have anxiety too. And it was just like my like practical tips on like learning to cope with anxiety. So like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not, like post about what's relatable to you and like, or what's relevant to you, but don't be afraid to be vulnerable, because the second you put those walls down, you will be surprised like how many people start watching you even more closely than they already were. So that's one thing that was kind of hard for me. I was a very reserved person before this business, because that's something that I like started working on day one. I'm like, I've got to open up. Okay, so I'm trying to think here. In the mornings and in the evenings were my time to like, really work on like growing my following on Instagram, and like liking everybody's stuff, engaging, all that stuff. During the day would be hectic with my kids, except for nap time. So I try to really utilize that first thing in the morning, and then in the evening, like after they had gone to bed. And
what time do you like get up? Do you get up before your kids?
I get up like the same time as them. Zach gets up before them. But I stay up way later. I stay up till like 2 in the morning. So like my kids go to bed, like 9 o'clock, and I'm literally up till like 2 in the morning. And I started doing that when I started It Works. And I'm not saying you have to stay up that late, like find what works for you. I have friends in this business that wake up at like 5 a.m. every morning. That's not me. Like I would rather, sleep in a little bit, and just stay up really late. So whenever I got started, Silas was 8 weeks old, and I was like still helping take care of my grandpa. I forgot to mention that when I was telling my story, but I was helping my aunt take care of my grandpa. So I had a full plate. I had 4 kids. My 4th was a baby, and I was helping with my grandpa. And so I knew that like, if I was just willing to like sacrifice my sleep for the first year, like that was going to make the world of a difference in my business. So I just, after everybody went to bed, even when Zach went to bed, like I would stay up and work on my Instagram and just, and like, I would even write out some posts for the next day, like if I knew I was going to post about hair, skin, and nails the next day, I would go ahead and like write a post that in my notes on my iPhone. That way the next day, if it was crazy, I could get my picture ready and have, copy what I already wrote. And it was kind of, time saver. So, and then the other thing that I would say that I did, and this is like kind of like something, if you're new on here, that I want to just encourage you to like kind of get over sooner rather than later. Cause I think every new person has this, little hesitancy. Tell your story from the very beginning. I hear it all the time, even with people that join me, they're like, oh, I don't have a lot to tell yet. I don't have a success story like you. I haven't made a lot of money yet. Like, what can I say? And this was something that was really hard for me when I got started, and I felt the same way. And I think it was one of Tiffany Herr's trainings, I'm not sure, but I remember hearing someone say a couple weeks into the business, they said, like, talk about what It Works is doing for you. Even if it hasn't done anything yet, like, talk about what it's doing for you. And like, think of like where you came from, where you are now, where you're going. And even now I still do that. I think that's a great rule. So like, I would talk about, you know, before I joined this business, like I literally was feeling very helpless. I was feeling, you know, hopeless with our future. I felt like we were just drowning in debt with no end in sight. But, you know, I saw, and this is another little tip, I'm going to insert this here, sorry. But like, you can talk about your enroller story. Like if your enroller has a story and like they already have, you know, some success in the business, like you can insert their story in your story post. So I would say, like, after watching my beautiful friend on social media for 11 months and watching her retire her husband and become a 6-figure income earner, I knew that I could do the same. And so I joined this business, and now we're on the road to being, you know, debt-free and living a life of freedom, you know, something like that. So I just want to encourage you guys, because that makes the world of a difference. Like me making a conscious effort to tell my story every evening, even when I didn't feel like I had a lot to tell. And like, it'll feel redundant at times, but like that was what drew people to me that were like, hey, I'm in debt too. Like, do you think I would be good at it? I'm like, yes, you would. And some of the best people that have joined my team have been people that have come to me and they're like, your story's like, it's my story. Like we don't have the exact same story, but like, I feel like we never can catch up. And so it's like the little things that you're not thinking necessarily people are going to hang on to is what they're going to hang on to and draw them into.
Yeah, I love that tip. I think Carrie Young was the one that told that I first heard that tip from, and Tiffany, I don't know who came up with it, but literally I do that all the time if I'm like struggling what to post or like what my caption should be, even if it's just like a picture of my kids or a picture of my day or whatever. Like I literally just say, and I just did it tonight. It was like 2 years ago, I wouldn't have been able, I look back, you know, 2 years ago, I would have been sitting in my office, and now I'm able to take my daughter to get a mani-pedi in the middle of the day on a Monday. And this is just the beginning, you know? So it's the same rule, where you came from, where you are now, and where you're going. And if you're not where you're at now, talk about that, you guys. I always tell people, I'm like, I wish that I would have written a journal when I first started to remember exactly how I feel or felt during that time, because that is what most people relate to. Most people can't relate to making $20,000+ a month. Most people don't feel like that's realistic. But when you guys are just starting and you're seeing the hope and you're seeing the vision and you're seeing the future and you're like, oh my gosh, like this is such a source of hope. Same thing, like even if it's just something as small as I locked my keys in my car this morning, and the old me would have been so freaking pissed and I would have let it ruin my day. But I am so happy right now that I'm able to work my business while I'm waiting for somebody to bring me my keys or something like that. You know, something where even if it's just your mindset shift and it's not about money, if it's just about hope and what you want in the future, that is so empowering to so many people. And they're like, wow, I want to be around somebody like that. Because how many people do you know who are just negative on social media? Oh my gosh, I've had the worst day ever. Oh my gosh, my boss is a butthole. Like whatever people want to start saying on Facebook, I see it every day, all day. And so you just have to be that person that she said, is that light to somebody. Because if you're on one day and you're hitting it and you're doing all of your posts and you're checking off everything that you have on your to-do list for this business, but the next day you start talking about, oh my gosh, my day is so horrible, it just erases all of the stuff you did that day before. I heard this on a self-development YouTube, and they said for every time somebody tells you that you can't do something, it takes 17 times for you to hear that you can in order to erase that negative comment. It's the same thing when people are looking at us. In order for them to take us seriously, they have to see it consistently, the positivity. And just one negative thing that you post, it will erase that person that they thought you were. It's just like trust. You're building trust for your following. So have you ever built a lot of trust with somebody and it took a long time for them to build the trust, and then, oh crap, your boyfriend kissed that girl and it's like, it's all gone. It's the same thing, you guys. So just make sure that you are being positive, that you are being consistent. And that is how people are going to fall in love with you and totally trust that you're in this business for the long run. Okay. So do you set certain hours during the day to work your business, like now? And have you tried to wake up in the morning and you're just like, okay, this does not work for me, I need to just stick with the night? Like, what have you done to kind of figure out your schedule now?
Yeah. Okay, so once Zach came home, like we kind of had like some growing pains period of like figuring out like now that he's here, like how do we now maximize the best use of our time? And then it happened again after our move. So I'll just kind of like talk about now that we've moved because that's the most current. So Zach gets up first. He handles everything with the kids and when they first wake up in the morning. My morning time is self-development. So when I'm getting ready and I'm doing my makeup, having my coffee, all that good stuff, I have like Stephen Furtick's YouTube channel on, or I'll listen to an audiobook. But that's my like protected, self-development time. And I didn't say this in the beginning, but when I first got started, that was something that like all throughout the day, like we have a YouTube app on our TV. And so like, even if I was just like, I couldn't really like do anything for the business at that very second, like we just had YouTube playing on the TV all the time. So like, I just had it like on like Alyssa's YouTube channel or Claire's YouTube channel or Tiffany's or whatever. And I just would let it play through all these YouTube videos. And that allowed me, even while I was mothering my kids, to like be a sponge and just like take in all these tips. But I still do that now. I have that protected time in the morning where I do self-development, and I still try to watch a training a day. And then once our kids are back in school now, so it's a little bit different. But when I come out from, getting ready and all that and doing my self-development, I come to my office, I sit down, I check in, I answer all my messages at that point. So I don't answer any messages until after my self-development. After my self-development, I answer my team's messages, I answer, any potential customers, potential distributors, and so on and so forth. And then I sit down and I start my engagement with, my Facebook, my Instagram. I try to go through my news feed on Instagram and Facebook, 3 to 4 times a day, and just go through for like 10 minutes and just, like and comment on stuff. I would say I work now from probably like 10 to 2. Trying to think. Yeah, about 10 to 2. And then when our kids get out of school at 1, so they're usually home by 2 with Zach. They always take detours. Zach picks them up and he's like the cool dad, like takes them to the beach after school. So whenever they get home, I like to be at a pause where I can like, see how it's like, talk to them, how their day's going, help them with homework, whatever. And we have family time like up until dinner. And then after dinner, I usually do work like while they're, taking baths and all that stuff. I come in, I sit in here again for like another hour or whatever. And then I spend the rest of the night with Zach. Zach always goes to bed before me. He stays up late with me and he stays up till like 11, but I still do stay up late even now. So maybe not till 2 every morning like I used to. It's probably more like 1, but I do stay up late. And that's just because I'm a night owl. I don't think you have to do that. That's just me. I'm up anyways. And so I just like keep doing Instagram, keep interacting with Instagram while I have like, a show on in the background and that kind of thing. So my nights are laid back, but I do still try to continue to build my business. So
yeah, I love that you pick like both times of the day, because I think sometimes you can miss a lot of your market if you're just doing one or the other, because some people are only on in the morning and some people are only on at night. So if you're only on in the morning, you're only picking those people that are on in the morning. But if you're on at both, I love that you do both times. So specifically when you're 10 to 2, like what does that look like? Like you say you interact, like just for people that maybe haven't been in the business that long, like what does that interaction look like? How are you picking which people to interact with? Like give us the nitty-gritty details.
Yeah. So part of that interacting is like what I was saying with my team. I have all my team I have all the Ruby legs into chats. And so I'm checking in, see if anybody needs me. I like to let those new emerging leaders like really take ownership of their team. But if I see like there's a conversation in the chat that, somebody doesn't know the answer to, I like to, come in and get all that squared away first thing. And then I do my follow-ups sporadically throughout the week, and then I do heavy follow-ups on Fridays. But I like to abide by the rule of like follow-up Friday is not the law. Like it's definitely like what I recommend to my team to do, to like go through your follow-up list on Fridays. But throughout the week, if I had someone that maybe I talked to on like Saturday and they were like, hey, I'm going to send you my card info for cleanse when I get home. And then I never heard from them. And now it's Monday morning and I'm sitting in here. I'm like, they never sent me their card info on Saturday. I'm going to go ahead and check in. Like, I'm not going to wait till Friday for that. I'm going to go ahead and check in. So I do like those types of follow-ups throughout the week. And then same thing, anybody that's commented on my posts on Instagram or Facebook and like asked for info, but like the convo was kind of at a standstill our last whatever, I'll check in with those people. And then as far as, the rest of the time is mostly just spent like building relationships. And for me, I keep relationship building really, really simple. I just like to go through and engage. I don't like message people or anything like that. I just, if they have not reached out to me, I don't message them, but I do take a heavy interest in their life. So I will, like their stuff on Facebook, like their stuff on Instagram, comment, and that sort of thing.
So when you're building a relationship, like how does that normally start? Like walk me through, like if you just saw my page, I wasn't a works distributor, and you were like, she's been like, do you like people who haven't even liked any of your stuff? Like how are you finding these people? A, but B, how are you starting that interaction?
So if I just basically like, especially with Instagram, like when I'm going through my Instagram newsfeed, just double tapping, engaging with everybody. If I see something like someone that really catches my eye, I'm like, we could totally be friends in real life. I try to keep that in mind all the time. That's something I heard from the beginning, and that has been golden for me. I try to attract people that are, similar to me, even if they're not exactly like me, like someone that I can be friends with. So if I see someone that they catch my eye, I'll immediately go to their page and just like a couple of their things. And I don't like to be, this is just me, this is just my opinion, but I don't like to necessarily like comment on like 20 of their things. I know some people do that kind of stuff, but I will usually maybe their most recent 3 pictures and comment on one of them. Because I have found that that's just kind of, I don't know, that just works for me. Because then what I see is the next progression is they're now liking my stuff. And I just make sure that I'll turn on post notifications for them, and I'll make sure that I'm, not missing their stuff. I try to keep post notifications to a minimum though, because there was a time when I felt like I had too many and it was just blowing up all the time. So I only do that on people that I'm like, I want them on my team. Like I really, really want this person. If it's like, other than that, I'm just trying to make sure I'm going through my newsfeed so consistently that I'm always, seeing their stuff. And then also those of you that are new, especially if you don't or if you haven't worked Instagram heavily, anyone that you ever intentionally go to their Instagram, it's going to stay up in your recents. And so if there's 10 people, you're always going to their stuff. You're not going to have to necessarily even turn on the notifications or anything. You can just at the end of, this is something I would do at night when everyone goes to bed. I would just kind of sit there and go to each person's Instagram and just see if they posted anything. And if they have, like it, comment on it.
Yeah, no, I love that. So, okay, so this is a lot different. So a lot of times we hear, and there's no right or wrong answer, just so you guys know. So if you're feeling like there's conflicting information about messaging or about how do I message this person, cold messaging, warm messaging, whatever messaging you're talking about. Here's the thing Brittany and I kind of have discussed before is that you have to do what fits your personality and what fits you and what you're comfortable with, but it's going to push you a little bit outside of your comfort zone. So if you stay in your comfort zone in this business, you're just not going to be successful. That's just it. And that's with anything in life. That's just not with this business, but you won't be fulfilled if you're not stepping outside of your comfort zone and growing. So what I want to encourage you guys to do is to figure out, what is your personality type? And it's not going to be comfortable the first time that you message somebody, okay? If you are interested in messaging somebody. But do you know what? For me, I don't message a ton of people, but I message people that I feel like I can't wait for this person to message me. Because I'm going to be mad if somebody else messages her and she's not on my team. So I will send a message that's how many times have you been approached by somebody to do something on the side? Or, girl, I know you're going to think I'm a complete creep, but I just had to message you because I'm obsessed with your profile and I think you would kill it doing what I do. Or I would say something like, why aren't you doing what I'm doing already? Very, very short and sweet, okay? Because and Brittany, you can kind of touch on this too about how times have changed. The video of a leader posting stuff from 2013 or 2014, that's when network marketing wasn't being promoted the way it is now through social media. And I think you had a good point. So I'll let you kind of continue on that, but just on, how you have to adjust and mold yourself to what times have kind of proven it works.
So yeah, just elaborating on that. This is something that I've come to realize, and this is kind of my stance on cold messaging, especially. I think that there was a lot of people maybe 5-6 years ago, maybe some of the top ambassadors that when It Works was first getting big on social media, there wasn't a lot of other MLMs on social media. And so we were one of the few that were really hitting social media hard. And so I think there was things that people could do that they got a lot different results for then than necessarily people do now. And you got to think back then, there wasn't as many people working their businesses on social media, meaning there wasn't as many people on the receiving end of cold messages. So if you got a cold message from somebody, you're like, oh, like, who's this person? Like, I never get messages. Like, oh, she's so nice, you know? And whereas like now, I think people are a lot more defensive. Not everybody, but a lot of people are. A lot of people, especially like on Instagram, guys, I get messages from network distributors on Instagram all the time. And I'm like, I am a network distributor. So I think like on Instagram, like sometimes like, and I get messages from like Road and Fields all the time and Unique. And so like, I think the cold messaging can get out of hand. And so some people, if I'm getting that many messages, I'm sure other people are too. And so I think it's important to remember, like if someone's been getting blown up with messages, like you have to kind of like put yourself in their shoes. So whereas like you see trainings from 5 years ago, like that might have been great advice 5 years ago, but I think you have to remember like times have evolved. Social media has evolved. Now we have all these companies on social media that are all trying to do the same thing. And there's a lot of people, you know, messaging now. So it's people are getting, you know, people are reacting differently than they would. So because of that, that's why I built my business pretty much 100% on attraction marketing. I let people show an interest before I reach out to them. So if someone comments on my post and they're like, what do you do? Or, you know, or if they comment on hair, skin, and nails and they're like, you know, obviously like they want to know about it. Even if it's like, they don't come right out and say, how much is this? Like if someone's like, oh, that looks interesting. Yeah, I'll message them and I'll say, yes, it is. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's my favorite product, whatever. But I do like that's just me, but I do let people reach out to me first just because, I think that's always worked better for me. Now I will say there's cases on Facebook. If I see something come up on my newsfeed, like someone saying, looking for a second job, does anybody know? Does anybody know of anything? Or, you know, I really need a way to get some extra money for the holidays. Does anybody know of any seasonal jobs? I saw that a lot last holiday season. Stuff like that, case by case basis. If I see it, I immediately go to their page and I'm like, would they be good at this? And I like stalk their page for a few minutes. And if I'm looking at their page, I'm like, they would kill it. Then I will voice message them and I'll say, I know this is totally random, but I saw your post about that you're looking for a second job. And I don't know if you've ever thought about doing what I do, but I think you would kill it. I'd love to give you some info. I do everything off my smartphone. Short, sweet, very simple. My rule is it has to stay in an under 1 minute voice message on Facebook. But yeah, I do message in that one case. Because in my mind, they're asking for it. Like they're basically saying like, give me something to do. Instagram, I don't ever cold message, but I will say whenever anyone shows any response in what I do on Instagram, I video message them until I can get them on Facebook. So I don't always, like I do try to find some people on Facebook whenever they first message me because I would rather voice message them. But if I can't find them, or if like we already started talking on Instagram and maybe they messaged me already, I will respond with a video message. You can't voice message on Instagram, but you can video message. And video messages I just feel like they seal the deal for me every time. I've yet to video message someone on Instagram that asked about the business and not sign them. It's amazing the reaction when someone sees your face and you're just talking to them like you were FaceTiming with your friend, only sending short little clips. So
I love that. I need to do that, but I also should probably get ready more often. People would see me and they'd be like, what the heck? This person's homeless. Anyways, so I would love to kind of, did you ever cold message at first, or did you ever, like message people like when you first got started, or is this something that you've always just kind of let people come to you? Like, you know, I know when I first got started, I was like, okay, I need to think about who I would think would be really good at this business, all this stuff. Like how did you start off and have so much success?
Okay, so I never have ever cold messaged at all. When I first got started, I was on like a little challenge group that Claire had done. And one of the challenges was, I think I was for like 1 or 2 months, it's about 2 months in the business. One of the challenges was like message your dream team. So I did do that. The people that I messaged right then and there didn't join, but one of them has joined since. It was like 9 months later and they were like, hey, I am interested in your business now. So I did do that. And I think she had challenged like message 5 people or 10 people. It was a small number. So I did do that. One thing that I do is like warm messaging for products. And I always do this in waves because like my warm market on Facebook, I don't want to just like message them all at once. But what I have done, especially like months I'm up for a promotion. I did this when I was up for Ruby, when I was up for Diamond. I will send like maybe like 30 warm messages at a time. And I'll just say like, hey girl, like I know this is so random, but I hope you're doing well. But I just wanted to check in with you and see like if you would possibly be interested in being a product tester for me. I'm looking for 4 more product testers this month. They can try any product they want for, 90 days at my discount. And as long as they give me their honest review and feedback, and I thought you'd be a perfect person to ask, would you be interested by any chance? And I always put like some ha-has, like smiley face emojis, whatever. And then I always make it very nonchalant, where it's like, not like a big like pressure message, but more of like, I genuinely thought of you. Because I never want someone to read my message and
is this a text like over, like you type this out, or is this a voice message?
I type this out.
Okay.
Yeah. And I can like share it in the comments in a little bit, but yeah, I typed this out, and I sent that like when I went Ruby, I sent it when I went Diamond, and I got a really good response from that. I would say like close to half the people were like, yeah, I would be interested. And even if I didn't sign them right that second, like went on my potential list, because we genuinely talked back and forth about products. But I pick people that I genuinely think would be interested. And I know like a lot of people say don't prejudge people or whatever, but this is me going through my Facebook, like, you know what, I went to college with her. Like, I really think she would love hair, skin, and nails, like that kind of a thing, So I do.
So have you ever gotten like, this is like my biggest fear. Okay. Cause I'll be honest, like I never start with products because I'm like terrified somebody's gonna be like, are you calling me fat? Like, because we have health and wellness products, and honestly, people don't realize this, but we really only have one true weight loss product, which is ThermoFit. That's the only true weight loss product that we have. Now, side effects of the cleanse can obviously cause, weight loss, and obviously the shake and stuff like that. But the true weight loss formula that we have is ThermoFit. But people think, because of like the skinny wrap and all what they've heard, is that this is a weight loss program. So like, are you interested in being a product tester? Like, what are you insinuating? So have you ever had anything like that happen, or how do you kind of like nip that in the bud before they even get that impression?
Yeah. So, I've never had that happen. So when I send that warm message, I just am literally saying like, hey girl, like I'm looking for some product testers to try any one of our, 4+ products. And then if I think I have had a couple of times where I want to make sure somebody doesn't think that. And I'll say like, we have everything ranging from skincare, vitamins.
Right.
Yeah. So that way from the get-go, they're like, oh wow, they have everything. Like this can't be about that, But yeah, I've had really good results with that. And the reason I only send it in spurts of like 30 is because I do this usually when it's like, if it's a month I'm pushing for volume, I'm up for promotion, whatever. Or if like I have several people that are up for promotion, I'm wanting to place and like help them promote, I will send these bursts of messages, to boost my volume. But I never want to like wipe out everybody at once. So I usually just spend about 30 at a time. And, like I said, I'll usually sign a few and then add quite a few to my potentials list. And they just go up on my follow-ups list. We're talking ongoing until I can seal the deal with them.
Right. No, that makes total sense. Okay. So I'm going to go through some of these questions, and then I got to ask you about how you add to your network. So don't let me forget to do that. Okay. So I find out my engagement goes way down when I post on Instagram more than twice a day. Do you have any thoughts, or have you experienced this?
I post on Instagram 6 times a day religiously. So I don't think your engagement is necessarily down because of that, but it could be like the correlation of when you're posting and when you're engaging. Like I heard, so I want to say it was Pam. I'm almost positive it was Pam at conference said, before you make a post, spend about 5 minutes going through your newsfeed and engaging. This is Facebook and Instagram, and you'll get more on your posts. And I'll tell you, like right now, whenever I make a post and I don't engage before, I only get like 40 likes on my Instagram. But if I engage heavily for like 5 minutes before I make a post, I'm getting like 150. So I definitely think it makes a difference. So do I always engage before? No, but I would try that. I think that makes a big difference, because all those people, the way the algorithm works is all those people you just engaged with, now you're coming up on their news feeds.
Yes. And if you're lost and you feel like, oh my gosh, like I'm just engaging, and you feel stuck, like I got to a point with my Instagram where I felt like I'm literally only seeing like the same, like 25 people, like they're always just showing up. And so what I did, and I think somebody mentioned it in the comments before, but I went through my stories. So once stories became thing, I would interact through stories, and people love that. So like when you see the like round circles at the top that have like the color around them, that means somebody posted a story, and it's like something that was within the last 24 hours. And I love doing that because that is so relevant, because sometimes Instagram used to be, this is how it used to be. It used to be time oriented. So it literally used to be only most recent at the top. That was always how it was sorted. But now it is most relevant. And so it's very similar to Facebook because of that. So you're going to see the people you're interacting with way more than you are the ones that you're not interacting with. And so some people can get lost in your following. So doing the Insta stories is awesome because it does sort your most relevant ones first. But if you just go through for like 10 minutes, set a timer for yourself and just watch the stories. And you can swipe or you can tap to make it go faster if it's somebody you don't want to watch. But that is going to give you a free market to anybody who has a story. And those people are typically really good candidates for the business because they know how they work in social media already, right? That's a full advantage to you. Try to stop following like a bunch of bloggers or people that you're never going to reach out to about the business that don't follow you back. I would tell you to like stop following celebrities and other things like that because that stuff can just clog your newsfeed and it can be like one of those distractions where you're literally like just clicking and clicking and clicking and like 20 minutes later you're like, what the heck? I just wanted to find some Kylie lipstick or figure out what the heck that color was, and then all of a sudden I got lost on some other page which I have no idea who this really pretty girl is, and I just wanted to click and find her Instagram. So you can just get caught up. So that would be a really good way to kind of keep you on track, and you can reply or to their story and be like, oh my gosh, so cute. Or, oh my God, I love your hair color. Oh my gosh, what's that lip color? I love it, in their story. And it's going to feel so much more personal because they know you're actually watching something that happened within the last 24 hours. So I love doing that. And that's an awesome tip to kind of keep a lot of people coming to your page. And like she said, just make sure you're interacting because I do think that is the most important thing when you're trying to get more interaction on your post. In order to get love, you have to give a lot of love. That's what I try to, that's my rule. Okay. So next question. Do you post the same post on Facebook and Instagram every day or make different posts for each?
I post exactly the same on Instagram as I do Facebook. The only exception is if I go live on Facebook, and I do go live on Facebook pretty often. I mean, I would say minimum once a week. If I go live on Facebook, I try to make a post that correlates to that live on Instagram. I'll give you a quick example. So we went live just yesterday announcing that we're taking our kids to Disney World, and that was a dream we crossed off our dream board. So I did a post of all 4 of my kids, really cute picture we took outside, and I posted that on Instagram and said, in case you missed my Facebook Live. And I say this because I want more people. I have my Facebook link on Instagram. And when I say stuff like this, I usually get a few ads on Facebook from my Instagram friends. And so I said, in case you missed my Facebook Live, like blah, 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 we're going to 0. And so that's the only exception because I want to make sure I'm still doing 6 posts a day. But other than that, I do the exact same posts to Instagram as I do Facebook.
Okay, great. Do you space them out even if they're the exact same pic or message, or do you just post them at the same time? Obviously don't link them because I think that can like push down your algorithm on Facebook. So yeah, I don't link them either. I just literally post at the exact same time, literally copy and paste. I don't know if you do the same thing, but that's what I do.
Yeah, that's what I do. I don't link them. I post to Facebook first, and then I copy the caption, and then I go do the picture, and I do it separately to Instagram. And for those of you that are new, that just means don't post it to Instagram and then click share to Facebook. That's what she's saying. You want to do it completely separate posts. Because if you're sharing it to Facebook, the algorithm's not going to show it to as many people.
Yes. Do you use hashtags on Instagram? Sometimes if you use the same hashtag too many times, you will get shadow banned, which means that Instagram won't show your post anywhere public. So you're private, right? So kind of explain your reasoning.
Last night after we talked.
Okay, so tell people the pros and the cons. So obviously so people can make an informed decision to do what they want to do.
Yeah. Okay, so I've been private this whole time. I think when you're new, and this is just my opinion, if you want to be public, be public. I think when you're new and you're building your following and you're still learning how to post and you're trying to improve on posting and all that, I think it's better to be private. Because when you're private, people have no idea who you are. So as you're following like 200 people a day, the only way to find out who you are is to request you back. And the thing about it is the notification whenever someone's accepted your request, it's not like a big notification, like it disappears. So the next time they're going to see you is really going to be on their Instagram newsfeed. And so for me, I found that like I added people that even had in their bios, like no MLMs, and some of them have joined my team today. Now, if I would have been public and they would have seen that I was in an MLM, I don't think they would have followed me back. And some of them and I have talked about it. But because I was private, they were like, oh, I'm going to friend her back. And then I have enough balance of not just It Works posts that they got to know me, my life. They saw my kids. They saw, real posts that then by the time they saw a post of the hair, skin, and nails, they were like, oh, but she's so nice. You know what I'm saying? And there was that, like one girl's on my team today. She's a Ruby. And she has literally said to me, I was shocked when I found out you were in an MLM for multiple reasons. She was like, you seemed so real, so normal, and that's not the impression that I had, the perception that I had of people in MLMs. And she said, and as I continue to watch you, you never cold message me. She literally said that, and she joined my team after being Instagram friends for like 6 months. And she said, I kept waiting for you to message me because you were liking all my stuff and commenting, and you never did. And it made me want to join your team even more. And I'm like, you're so crazy. but yeah, like we're like good friends today. And like, I honestly don't think that I would have even gotten the chance to get to know her if, like she would have prejudged me if I'd have been public. So I was private all that time until I got my following from like 300 when I started to over 4,000. And I just went public last night. And I will say I've gotten some new followers from being public. Since being public last night, I've been using just a couple hashtags. I've only previously used hashtags to be funny. Okay. So I'm not that funny of a person, but I try to be funny with hashtags and try to like reinforce my post with some funny hashtags. But since I went public last night, the couple posts I did last night and today, I have done some hashtags that are just like hashtag Gulf Shores, hashtag the island because we live on an island. And so stuff like that. And that's gotten me some followers from like businesses on the island, like followed me back and, and who knows what that'll amount to. But what I'm saying is like, I wouldn't use hashtags unless it's very relevant to what you're doing. The whole shadow ban thing. So Zach actually knows a lot about this, believe it or not. And he's like a really good Instagram husband. So he said that the shadow ban thing is if you're hashtagging like those, not like spammy hashtags, but basically like these hashtags that everybody's doing to like try to get their following up. Instagram is trying to nip some of those in the bud, and they're trying to do away with certain hashtags that are just being overused. And so if you use those same hashtags over and over, like that's when you get shadow banned. So you're not going to get shadow banned.
Like health, like health, hashtag health, hashtag goals, hashtag whatever. Like are those, or are there more specific ones?
It's more specific ones. Yeah. He's probably on the Zoom. Zach, if you're in here and you want to come tell us.
You can just unmute yourself if you're on the Zoom.
Yeah.
Show yourself.
I think he's on the Zoom. He's probably going to be like,
all right, I'm here.
Oh, hey.
All right. So basically there's a lot of kind of questionable material on a lot of the hashtags, so to speak. And so what Instagram is trying to do is they're trying to crack down on some of the inappropriate material on those hashtags. So it could be hashtag weight loss, hashtag stuff like that. And people are there's a lot of the spammer accounts out there that are flooding them with not appropriate material. So what Instagram is trying to do is really crack down hardcore. So if someone's hashtagging that one thing every single post they make, then there's a good chance you're going to get shadow banned or blocked or whatever. So just be careful not to overuse the hashtags. And that's what, because whenever you overuse them and use them every single post, that's whenever you get flagged pretty easy.
Right. But like it would be hard like if you weren't intentionally doing like that to actually get shadow banned, right?
Yeah. And honestly, like in our business, I don't think that's a huge issue because a lot of our customers come from us adding them onto Facebook or Instagram and then like developing a relationship with them. It's not so much we're just getting a ton of people off of hashtags. You know what I mean? So it's not the world if we do get shadow banned or blocked or whatever, because that's really not how we. Most people, that's not how we get most of our customers. We get them from adding them on Facebook, adding them on Instagram, and then developing a relationship with them. So that doesn't affect you at all.
Awesome.
And all getting shadow ban means, by the way, is that you don't show up in Explorer anymore. So it doesn't affect private profiles at all. It only affects public profiles, and it just means only your followers will see your post. They will no longer show you in Explorer.
Right. And just keep in mind too, like I used to, this would not be a shadow ban, but like, just so you guys get an idea, but like I literally used to, and I don't really know why I stopped, but on every single post, it would be Thornton Family Adventure. Like that would be my hashtag. And literally like so many people would like make fun of me or like come up to me, like my friends who would just like hate on networks. They'd be like, what's up, Thornton Family Adventure? Like, oh, hashtag Thornton Family Adventure. But like that would not be a shadow ban because no inappropriate material is being posted from that. So just be aware. It's fine to post the same hashtag if you want something that's like your brand or you, that is just you, that is fine. You can post that on every post, just to be clear. I wanted to make sure that was, but that's, it's not going to be
right.
Yeah, right. Overly, that could have some inappropriate material, used to it or tied to it. Okay. So how many people do you add a day on Facebook or Instagram? How do you find them? How do you add to your network?
Okay, I'm really glad you asked this because this is like one of my favorite questions, and I'm probably gonna like have an answer that nobody has given you about one of these parts. Okay, so for Facebook, I have probably about 15 a day usually, but here's how I add people on Facebook. So I add a little bit from suggested friends, but not a lot. I never add if another distributor is a mutual friend with them. I add a lot from groups, but this is where the gold mine has come for me, and 90% of the rock stars on my team, this is where they've come from. So listen to this. If someone ever gives me a hard no about the business, if someone ever says anything hateful to me about the business, any kind of negative, and it's like a closed door, I go add their Facebook friends every time. And literally the best people that have ever joined my team have been from that. My cousin that I was telling you guys about, she made it very clear she was not interested in the business. And so I went and added I probably added 150 of her friends. She had 1,000, but I only added the friends that I had 5 or more mutual friends with. An Emerald Almost Diamond on my team is one of my cousin's best friends. And several of my cousin's other friends have either become customers or have also recently joined my team during the $9.99 promotion. So that has been golden. Same thing with, I've had another family member that is in, she does some kind of network marketing, but I wasn't sure if she was still in it or not. It's some travel company. And I wasn't sure if she was still in it or not because I hadn't seen her post about it. And when I first started looking ahead to Triple, I reached out to her and I just said, hey, I know this is really random. I don't know if you're still doing what you were doing a couple years ago. I hadn't seen you post about it, but, I think you would seriously be so awesome at this. And I'd love to have you, on my team and, have you in a leadership, role as we continue to grow. And she just voice messaged me back and was like, thank you so much for thinking of me, but I'm not interested. I've taken a step back, but this company has my heart. I would never join any other company but that, but I love y'all. I love following y'all's journey. So a couple weeks later, she posted a before and after of weight loss. And again, she's not in health and wellness. She's in a travel company. She posted a before and after of her weight loss journey through Weight Watchers completely organically. It was such an impressive before and after picture. She got 200 likes. And I just had this epiphany. I was like, I need to add all these people. They're obviously impressed by her picture, and she's not in health and wellness. She's in a travel business. I'm going to add them. And I literally, not even five or more mutual friends, I added every single one of them. And 5 of her friends joined our team during the $9.99 promotion. And one of them is probably on this team right now and is an absolute rock star. And I love her so much. She's almost Emerald already. So I firmly believe that when God closes one door, he opens up so many others that are even better before. And with the girl that I was just referencing, she is meant for this business. And imagine if this extended family member of mine would have joined, but her heart really wasn't in it because she still did love this travel company. I would have never added her friends, obviously, because she would have been on my team. Therefore, I would have never met, this girl. And so I think you have to turn those negatives into positive. If someone says no, okay, great. Go add their friends because I promise you they have friends that are interested in what you're doing.
That's so awesome. That's so funny too, because one of my friends, she joined and she didn't do anything with it and she quit. And I was like, that's fine, but you have an amazing market. So I'm just going to go friends with all your friends. And she literally wrote a list down of people that she thought would be amazing for me that she just didn't want to do it. And I've literally gone off that list so many times and had some awesome people join my team. There's another girl who one of her friends that is on here now that she said no to me, and she said, no, I won't. If I did something like this, it's going to be, just absolutely not. And I just friended all of her friends, and I told her, I was like, are you cool if I friend all your friends? And they were she was like, yeah, go ahead. So any girl that was on there. Also, I do something similar. When I first started, I was like, who am I going to find all these, young girls who need to make money, that whatever. And I basically went to all the most popular guys in my town. I was like, okay, I'm going to friend all of your girlfriends because guys have the most girlfriends. Typically girls have a lot of guy friends. And so, but that is so that was such an awesome tip too. And I love that tip. I think everybody should take it. So, how do we know if they're a part of this business? So, it's pretty obvious by their posting, or it should be. And if not, then shame on them. Literally if I've messaged somebody that's been an It Works distributor before, and after I've looked at their profile, after I've commented on some things, I'm going to be okay, well, what are you doing now? Seriously, if they'll be well, I'm already an It Works distributor, I'll be oh, are you just not working it? So it should be obvious. And if it's not obvious, then don't blame that on yourself because that's them not putting it out there. But you should at least be going through their last 10 to 15 pictures. In my opinion. So that's kind of what I would do. And that's how you're going to know what is up there. Okay, so we have Oh, it's 10:30. Gosh, how did that time go so fast? Okay, hold on. Let me see if I have. Do you have any apps that help you manage friends?
Help me manage friends.
Yeah, like following, non-following, all that stuff.
Yeah, so I don't use anything for Facebook. I do Facebook just the way I was just explaining. But for Instagram, I follow about 100 to 200 a day. I followed way more in the beginning to get my following up. Now I just kind of follow, a little bit smaller amount. But I use the just like a regular unfollowing app, and anyone that doesn't follow me back within, I would say, like 24 to 48 hours. Sometimes I might wait a little longer. It just depends. If I followed a massive wave, I might wait a little bit longer. But if I followed 100, I'm probably going to give them about 48 hours, and then I'm going to go to the app, and anyone that didn't follow me back, I'm going to unfollow them. And then if the app has a limit, because I got 2 different apps, and like one will let you do like 100.
Which ones do you use?
They're both called followers, but they look totally different and they're not the same app. But one is like white with like a red, green, and blue person. And that one is really slow, but it lets you do like a lot at one time. Like it doesn't have a stout limit. The other one is gray and says Followers Pro. And
that's one I have.
Yeah, it's super fast, but it only lets you do like 60 at a time. So, but yeah, basically I said on the Followers Pro, it'll remind you in an hour when you can do 60 more. So even if I do need to unfollow like 300 people, I'll do 60 and it'll remind me in an hour, like, hey, you can unfollow. And then literally it's so fast, you can unfollow 60 more in like a minute. So, but that's basically my best advice. And I saw someone ask that, they said about like keeping your numbers down. I make sure I'm never following more people than are following me. But at the same time, I also don't unfollow the whole world. I know some people do, like some people have like 10,000 followers and they're only following like 900. I try to keep mine a little bit more balanced than that, just because I feel like I don't want people, when I'm friending them, to think, oh, well, she's just going to unfollow me. Because a lot of people are starting to put that in their bios and stuff, like don't follow, unfollow. So what I do is like, I have 4,000 followers and I'm following 3,000. So there is 1,000 difference that, I have 1,000 more following me than I'm following them back. But what I do is I slowly unfollow. Like if I'm going through my newsfeed and someone's posting like something like nasty or just something like weird or gross or whatever, like I'm like, okay, unfollow. If someone's posting something and like, I just don't think the more I'm seeing their posts, I'm like, no, like I don't really want you on my team. Like I don't think this is right for you. I'll unfollow. But I don't just like immediately, like once I get the followers, be like, okay, unfollow, And I think that there's conflicting training about that. But for me, I don't want people to think, oh, if I accept her follow request, she's just going to unfollow me. You know what I'm saying? So I do follow for a little while, and I only unfollow when it's like a genuine reason to. Like I don't think that they would.
Yeah. So there's also another app, and I think somebody posted about it. It's called Cleaner. Can you see that one? It's like next to my kids' game. This one right here. It's called Cleaner, and it's like that one. That one allows you to do like 100 to 200 at a time. Unfollow, and it's really fast. Like it's like really fast. So if you guys want to get that one, I think pretty sure it's free. And that one's really helped me. I'm not complete psycho about my Instagram. Honestly, I should probably like start to revamp it because I go in waves. And so many people ask me, do you do Facebook or Instagram? And I'm like, I do both. Okay. But I go in waves. And most of the time my Instagram, is a way for me to get people to my Facebook. And because I feel like most of my interaction, and I can be way more real on Facebook just because of like, obviously you have Facebook or Instagram lives, but Facebook lives, they stay up. You can go find them. Like you get a lot, like for me, I get a ton more interaction on my Facebook lives than I do on my Instagram lives. So I think that it's just important for you guys to know that but your business is always going to be evolving. And it's going to be changing, and it's going to be waves, just like any other business. Okay. It's not much different than that. We're not, immune to the cycles of a business, and you're not immune. You're not, immune from the cycles of a person. Life is going to happen, and it's just important that you try to figure out the best you can. It's never going to be perfect. Once you have a balance figured out, life's going to throw you another curveball, but know that the only reason that we are still in the business is just because we've managed them. We haven't just quit. We haven't just stopped doing it when life got challenging. Okay. And I think that that's the most important thing that you guys can remember is that don't expect to be diamond overnight. Don't expect that this is going to happen. You might not be triple in a year. It may take you 3 years to go triple. It might take you 4 years. But at the end of the day, you have to view this journey as a process. And I think that Brittany, you've just done such an amazing job with managing your time and figuring that out. But the most thing I realize about you is that you honestly are so intentional with everything. Like you realize that, hey, this is a change in our life, and we're going to need to figure out how we can manage it. You know, it's not like, oh gosh, this change happened. What the heck are we going to do now? It's more always seeking a solution rather than, you know, dwelling on it being a problem. And that's even just from the get-go, you know, that was obvious in your business with the non-supportive family. And, you know, the one thing I love that you were talking about at the beginning is how you and Zach were always reevaluating your dreams. So I just want to thank you for being on here. Do you have any other tips that you want to add real quick to people, just our last minute things that you want to say?
Yeah, I just want to like say, okay, so, and this, I didn't share this in my original story, but you just made me think of this, Kelsey. So about like what she was saying about you have to like, no matter how long it takes you, like you've got to be in it for the long haul. You've got to be willing to, you know, go through those challenging times. When we first joined the business, there was the Ruby bonus. And if you're new, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but they had a Ruby bonus if you went Ruby in your first 60 days or your first 2 calendar months. And I remember that was like what I had my sights set on in the beginning. I was like, oh my gosh, like I have to get that Ruby bonus. Like that would be like, that would help us pay off so much. And then if Zach could get it too, oh my goodness. So I didn't go Ruby for 4 months, and Zach went Ruby the 5th month in the business. And I remember like being so bummed that I didn't get that Ruby bonus. But I also remember there being so many sidelines that quit when they didn't get that Ruby bonus, that literally quit. And like, I didn't get the Ruby bonus, but you guys, when I went Diamond in January at conference, I stood in that arena and heard Mark say that anyone that just had promoted a Diamond was getting a $10,000 bonus, like way better than a $500 Ruby bonus. And so like, even if you miss something and you're super bummed about it, like you cannot let your faith waver. Like you have to still stand strong under the pressure and like know that there's better things ahead. And the only way that like you're going to get through those challenging times is by doing self-development. And I didn't like hit on that as much as I wanted to, other than saying that I start my day off. But like I highly recommend listening to the book Rhino Success if you're new and you haven't already listened to that. It's so good and it's so short. The audiobook is $4 on iTunes. So I mean, it's super, you know, reasonable. I've listened to that audiobook literally 7 times because it's so good. And every time I listen to it, I like write down more quotes from it. And he always talks about like in that book, he talks about problems over and over. And he's like, if you're a rhino, like you have to expect problems and you have to be willing to like charge them and face them head on. And that's one thing that has just always stuck with me is like, if I stay solution minded, I can get through any problem that comes my way. It doesn't mean I'm immune to problems. Like I still have so many problems, but you're not going to see them debilitate me because I'm expecting them. And I'm like, okay, like how do I handle this? Like, how do I move on past this to the next step? And I'm like that with my team. Like if someone comes to me freaking out, I'm like, okay, like let's figure out how to help, you know, how to fix this. So I just want to encourage you, if you're new, like decide today that like, I will get through whatever challenge comes my way and I'm going to come out even stronger. So even if you miss like your go fast deadline, it's okay. Like you have no idea what's in the future. You have no idea what's coming in the spring. But the people that are going to go to the top of this company are the people that are like, I'm going to the top no matter what. So, and I just want to give you guys a quote too. Someone, and Kelsey, you may know who said it, but someone in one of the trainings said, like, even if you only promoted, there's 8 ranks in the company, even if you only promoted once a year, like, okay, you would be a millionaire in 8 years. Like, that's totally worth it. Like, you can't get that from corporate America. You know, no corporate job is going to guarantee you 8 years of working for me, you're going to be a millionaire. So even if you feel like your journey's slower than your sidelines, like just know, like if you keep progressing, you will still go to the top. You know, it's not a race. It's about like being a better version of yourself each and every day.
Yeah, 100%. I love that so much. And I think like you hit the nail on the head. I mean, with everything. And one of the things that I want to encourage you guys to do, and this was an aha moment for me. I don't even know when it happened, but I literally started to view this because I was getting in that comparison trap, right? Because it's so easy to. But think about everything else in your life. Think about how fast you grew physically as a kid. Think about when you hit puberty as a kid. Like, when did you get your period? Like, it wasn't the same time as everybody. When did you find the love of your life? When did you get married? When did you start having kids? Everybody's journey looks so different. Okay. That's just the nature of the beast. But the beautiful thing is that you are the only one with your journey. Okay. There's going to be other people who have promoted at the same time as you or have promoted to a certain thing as you. People who got married on the same year as you, but that your journey is uniquely your journey. Okay. And it's just been made that way. And the cool thing is you don't have to question why just do it. Just keep stepping. And when you take one step, God is going to take two. And if you take 2 steps, he's going to take 4. So the more steps that you take, the more steps he can guide and order. So I would just encourage you guys to keep with the process and know that for us, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. But the thing is when those storms come, we don't allow them to blur out the sunshine and rainbows that we have had, okay? Because we can always lose sight of that. So just make sure that you are constantly focusing on the problem or focusing on the positives and becoming part of the solution and not focusing on the problems. Because when you change your mindset, and that's again why self-development is so important, I always say this, if you don't do self-development, your business will die. Your business will just die because it is so mental in this. And that's why not everybody is successful. That's just it. Because it's so much easier to just be mediocre and quit. It's just easier. That's the easy part. That's the easy way out, is just to quit or just to give up or just to think this lie or this story that you're telling yourself is that you aren't good enough or not everybody likes you. So just be aware of that. And yes, we will send out them message. They want to know that your message you send out when you're going for promotion.
Yeah, I've got it right here on my computer. I can just paste it real quick.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll leave it up for some people. Zach, do you want to say anything amazing words about your lovely wife before we get off here? So people have time to copy and paste this message or write it down.
And I'm going to send 2 messages, guys. I'm sending one that I have in like my team page for my new people to send out if they want to do some more messaging. And then I have one for existing people when they're pushing for volume. So I'm going to send 2. And obviously, like, as always, if you have a message that you like that someone else suggests, just like read over it and make sure it actually sounds like you, because that's where we go wrong in our business, is if we just blanketly send something and it sounds nothing like us. You know, your friends and family do know how you talk. So just read that over. And if like you would
say it out loud, say it to yourself out loud. That is the best rule of thumb.
Yeah. So that's the one for new people that I just sent. And then I'm sending the existing, and they're honestly very similar. Like you'll see when I send it. And I just realized the one for existing people doesn't say this, but what I usually do include in it too is I'll say, we are going for a life-changing promotion this month. And so I'm updating my portfolio and need 4 more people, whatever. Because I think sometimes when you throw in life-changing promotion, if they're already a little interested and then they read that, they're like, okay, yeah, sure. Like, let me go ahead and, so.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
And I also just want to say real quick, guys, every single month that I've ever promoted in this business has been the months that I've done the most self-development. And the months that I've ever missed a promotion have been the months that I've slacked off on self-development. So like when Kelsey says like, you have to do self-development, like literally you just can't go, like you can't progress in this business without it. And I heard someone say when I started, it may have even been Claire, she said like, you might can crawl to diamond, like the skin of your teeth, like without self-development, but you won't go any further. And I see this over and over, like people, they get to a certain point and they just stop. They stop enrolling, they stop getting any feedback, and they'll come to me and they're like, what am I doing wrong? And the first thing I ask is like, are you doing self-development? And every single time they're like, well, not really. Like I hop on a Zoom when I can or whatever. But it is just seriously so important. If you are having the most overwhelming day of your entire life and you do nothing else for your business, like do self-development.
Yep. And I always, like, the one thing I'll tell you guys is the moment you stop thinking you need self-development or you think that your mindset is good, that is when you need it the most. And here's why. So most people do self-development because they've heard it talked about so many times, but they feel like they need it. So here's their normal. And then they get down here and they're like, I need self-development to get me back to here, right? I just need it to get me back to here. But what happens is when you don't think like you need it and you don't do it, you just stay here. But when you do it, when you don't need it, that's when the true growth occurs. That is when everything changes, okay? Because you start to go from here to here to here to here to here. And before you know it, you're at a rank that you're like, what the heck is going on? And it's not even about rank, you guys, that it's about the actions that you're showing your team. I posted this today on my timeline, but the shift will happen in your business when you realize your team is not working for you, but you are actually working for them. And what I mean by that is I'm not saying you're working for them like you're on their payroll, but you're working for them to inspire them and to motivate them and to guide them. And that is how you need to make sure that this is about them. And if you are helping people along your journey, you're going to be successful. So I am so glad everybody enjoyed this. And I just want to say thank you so much, Brittani, for hopping on. This was so awesome. And I learned so much. So I hope you guys did too. Hopefully you guys had time to look at that message and just take it for what it is. And obviously, like she said, just make sure you're editing it. But you guys, this was so awesome. So I can't wait to get the recording up. And thanks again, Brittany.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, guys.